So I'm going to keep this drink for, it's an acquired taste. I won't say it's, I won't say it's a one of those things that you could just, that you're just going to taste and love. It is an acquired taste, but I'm trying it out to see. I saw one lady's TikTok where she had months of kind of documentary, basically, of her weight loss. And this is one of the drinks she had every day. And so I'm incorporating for the next couple months just to see. I switched out my caramel macchiato for this drink, and now I'm going to see what's the difference. But I can tell you my stomach is definitely, in my stomach area, huge difference. Huge difference. I don't have to hold in my stomach as much. I don't have, it's just some of those things you start to see like, damn. So this did play a big part. And not to mention all the money I have saved in this past month from not buying caramel macchiatos and stopping at Starbucks. So, and it's a big difference because Victoria, I used to be like that. I used to be like, I can't drink coffee without creamer. And I used to tell everyone as a joke, like I drunk creamer with coffee, with a splash of coffee, because that's what our mixed drinks are. They're not really coffee. There's like a splash of coffee with all this damn creamer and sweet and fucking, syrups and stuff. It's not really coffee. So we're not really drinking coffee. Yeah, sometimes if you don't drink the Starbucks and then you go back, it's kind of nasty, but I'm okay. At first it was a struggle. I was having sugar withdrawals. You guys know sugar is like a drug, right? I was having sugar withdrawals. So I was like an addict. I was very irritable. Like very irritable. But now my moods, and I will tell you, I had a lot more mood swings drinking the Starbucks than I do now. I don't have as many mood swings as I did. So, it does kind of fuck with us on that level, or at least me. Yeah. I've been doing it for, like, I want to say, like, since I've been doing this morning show. So about 2 weeks straight. So we'll see. It hasn't really been a month, I don't think. It's been like 2 or 3 weeks, maybe 3 weeks. So we'll see. I know I weighed myself the other day and I was 307. If you know anything about like where my weight is, so it's definitely the lowest I've been in a long time, and I plan to definitely be in the 200s by the end of the year. The honey's not bad. Now, the lady the lady's video that I saw, she put way too much honey that I probably would put in mine. I try to stick to about that tablespoon of honey, but that's just me. Some people put more because of the taste. They're trying to get that sweet taste. I don't put that much. I'm just putting. I just try to put a tablespoon so it has a little bit of that sugar taste and not a huge amount. Like fuck. Thanks, boom. Like I said, I've implemented some healthier lifestyle choices this year. Huge. And it took all year to really do it, from the beginning of the year of walking, to exercising, to getting into the gym, to eating healthier, even when I go out, not choosing the most shittiest places to eat, things like that, just changing, drinking smoothies in the morning. I have my protein shakes. It's Foxy for her, or Foxy Fit for her. I love they actually have a macchiato protein shake. I actually love that shit. Oh, Heather, yeah. If you do look at the Starbucks later on, you'll just be like, damn, what the fuck am I drinking? Yeah, I don't see nothing wrong with honey. I think honey is a really good substitute, especially if you're trying to kick sugar, because sugar is you can get addicted to sugar. If you guys didn't know, I was very addicted to sugar for years. Earlier this year, at the end of 2020, is when I really kicked sugary foods, like any type of donuts, cookies, things like that. I just kind of was like, no more at the end of 2020. And then the only thing I had left was the caramel macchiato. That was kind of my last sugary thing that was helping me wean off of everything else that I had created in my life as bad habits, right? And so that was kind of my last thing. So then finally, what? 10 months in the year, because October is when I actually kicked, I think October, yeah, October is when I actually kicked the caramel macchiato. So, you know, it's a change. As long as you make your small changes, remember, ain't no race to get there. Like before, when I was thinking about my weight loss, I wanted to lose it fast. The bad problem about that is that the excess amount of skin that you will have when you're losing it too fast. So then that scared me because I had dropped 50 pounds like really fast in the beginning of the year. And then I had this saggy skin everywhere that was just way worse. And I just was like, no, I don't want my body to look like this. I'm gonna tell you guys, it kind of fucked me up this year. So that's what really pushed me to get back into the gym and really start to tone, which it has helped a lot. I still have a lot more to go, but now I know that taking my time, going slow is not bad. Yeah, I want to get to my finished results, but if it takes me however it takes me, not if it takes me longer, if it just takes whatever it takes, I'm fine with that. As long as little by little I'm still doing what I want to do to get to my results and I'm not going backwards, then I think that I'm doing what I need to do, right? So whatever you guys are creating for yourselves, whatever goals, whatever, you're setting in front of you, just remember that you don't have to race, you don't have to run. Take your time. It takes time to really implement. You know how long I was trying to do this coffee in the morning in September? I saw the shit back in like September. It took me a whole nother month to really get this in my schedule, to do it every day. And I only do it Monday through Friday on the morning shows, sometimes Saturday and Sunday, depending. Because I think I just did it this week on Sunday. But hey, Babs from Amsterdam. It takes time to implement, you know, it takes time. Anybody, I wanted to talk about real quick before we jump off. Anybody see Will Smith's book? Now, I haven't read it. My daughter bought it and she started reading it, and she's just amazed at it. Nice, Khadijah. So if you have not picked up the book and read it, she actually says it's a really good read, really profound, and I'm very happy that he's telling his kind of side of life. We all know Will Smith of this, the jokey comic comedian, but there's this whole other piece in part to him, which is really, really cool. Awesome, awesome, Khadijah. Great minds think alike, boo. When spirit has that message comes through. Yeah, I haven't read it, but my daughter read it and she's reading it now. She hasn't read the whole thing. She's reading it now, but she's very inspired by his words and just things that he's saying in there. It inspired her so much that she started writing her own book, and I was so proud of her for doing that because she's writing her own book, and she's had all these epiphanies in her 20s. Beautiful to see somebody in their 20s have all these epiphanies of life and how to change and how they've been judgmental and how she has been, she's actually realizing her part in all these situations that happen in her life where she was blaming other people, and she's like in her 20s realizing this. It's beautiful to fucking watch. You're not supposed to hear that. I was working, but then I heard something and I was like, you're not supposed to hear me giving you kudos. Awesome. Yeah, the book is beautiful as far as the covers. Um, yeah, I have one too. A lot of you guys don't know that I am a writer. I actually already have a vampire chronicle book on Amazon. It's called Blood of Silas, The Prophecy. I don't talk about it much because I really took time off of writing to get into this field, my spiritual life and my spiritual awakening. And it kind of, my inspiration for writing was gone. I kind of lost it by the time I got to 2019. I lost my inspiration. I was going through so much energetically, solely, that I just couldn't find the inspiration to write no more. I couldn't find the inspiration to tell a story. Um, And I actually was writing another type of book called Elena's Door, which I was using part of the story of my first daughter's death in this story. And I had to stop because not because I was reliving what was going on, but I had to stop because there's a particular part that I just didn't have inspiration for. I couldn't find it. But this journey has opened my eyes to so much shit that I feel like I needed to go through this experience before I could finish the book. You know, Khadijah said she has another book to refer you to. I do because I started writing this. I did a vampire book. It's book one. It's a series, but I started writing that back in 2003 is when I first started writing. I was inspired by Anne Rice. I had read pretty much all of Anne Rice's books, and I was very inspired by her books and her the way she brought these characters to life. And I just took a pen and paper and I started writing. I started writing and creating these characters. And then I stopped writing in about 2004. I had to work two jobs. I was working two jobs. I had no time to write. And then I picked up my writing back in 2008. And then I said, you know, fuck this story. I'm going to start a whole new story. And then I had this inspiration to just create a land in a world of my own. And so then I created these characters out of my own mind, right? Out of my own essence. And now I'm kind of thinking maybe they come from a different dimension that I lived, right? Because I feel like that's how some of our inspiration comes from. And then I finally got done with it in 2016. I was done. The book's done, editing's done, boom. It's on Kindle, on Amazon. That's when I launched it. That's when I released it. And I felt so accomplished, so beautiful. Like I did it. I finally did it. I finally got this one done. It's out there. Boom. Um, and then life happened again. Life happened again. And it was like, fuck. I have no inspiration to start book two. I do have a lot of book two for that vampire series, but I just lost my inspiration. Life started hitting me again, and it's just like, fuck, what is this? So then here goes another, year passes by. Then 2018, I meet someone who then inspires me to write again. And I'm helping, I joined with him to help him write a book. And I was helping him write his book. And then I got the inspiration to the book that will be coming out. I don't know when. I'm not going to give it a date yet. Called Elena's Door. Um, but it's just crazy that then I stopped right before my healing journey because I had started to write about something that I needed healing, which was my daughter's death. It was like, over 20 years that I had been struggling with the death and just struggling trying to wrap my mind about the whys, right? And I started writing this story, implementing the characters around what happened. And then I lost my inspiration again. And then I went into this fucking journey, spiritual awakening and fucking soul and dark night of the soul and fucking shadow work and all kind of, ego death and everything else. So, but now, I have all these other stories and I have all these other stories from all these beautiful people I've met too, you know? And it's crazy how our journey that we get this inspiration from our journey, from peers, from people, what we've seen, so now I have a couple stories to tell, from this last couple years. I think not everybody's going to write, not everybody's going to find joy and happiness in writing. But I do feel like a lot of you don't realize that you have stories to tell. And some people are like, where do I start? You just start. You just start. Get you someone who could read it, you know? I love reading. If you need someone to proofread for you, shit, let me know. Because I did my own editing. I had to go over and over, and I have a thing with grammar. If you ask my daughter or anybody, I have a thing with grammar. But just put it on paper, Love it, Melanie. Khadija, you said with your story, you just start. You just start. Exactly. You just start. Because some of you guys, I've talked to a lot of you guys, especially my one-on-ones. And some of you guys have these amazing stories that you don't even know what would do for somebody else. You don't even know how many people it would freaking touch, help, right? I'm currently writing one about the twin flame dynamic. As I've been going through the twin flame stuff this past couple years, and I've gotten to a point where I have control of myself. I don't have the obsessive compulsiveness of the twin flame dynamic. I've realized some very profound shit of the twin flame dynamic, and it's allowed me to free myself from it as well. Not in a sense where I'm free from my twin, of course, we're fucking connected, right? But I freed myself from the ideas and pre-programming around it. I think we all have this beautiful story to tell. And I think a lot of us are still ashamed of it, or we don't think that our story could matter because we haven't mattered in life. We haven't mattered. We're not Will Smith, right? Who would want to hear my story? But you'd be very surprised at how many people can heal and be helped with your story. So I'm a firm believer getting it on a paper. And I do feel like your own shit will inspire you. But I think there's the point where you'll be ready to tell that part of you or tell that story of you. And I do think you find healing with it. There's a huge healing essence when you're not have to, but when you're telling your story, you know? Thank you, Adam. Grammar. Well, when you're writing, just get it out. Don't worry about grammar when you're writing. It's when you start to go through the editing phase that you're just like, okay, yeah, let me switch that. But when you're writing, just get it out. If you worry about every period, every comma, all of this stuff when you're writing, you're always going to get like so lost. You'll be like, what the hell? But I have a knack for grammar in punctuation, run-on sentences and stuff. I've always been a writer since I was little. I think I wrote my first story. I was like in third grade, and I wrote a spooky story. I always had a thing for horror. I was the kid that snuck out of my room to watch Elvira after dark. She was always at like late night, So I always had this kind of thing to watch scary shit, horror. And so my first story was like this spooky story where I had this person who was having, they were hearing stuff in the basement. And the story is that this kid is in bed hearing stuff in the basement, and then they go down to the basement, right? And then boom, they wake up and they're in their bed. It was all a dream, And this is a third grader writing this fucking story. It was crazy as hell. But I always loved to tell stories. I always loved that in that manner. And then I went into poetry in my preteen years. So when I got to you guys don't know, I used to rap. I was influenced by the great Too Short. So I had I was like this little 11-year-old cursing, rapping. And I love the flow of words. And so my raps then turned into poetry because I loved poetry that rhymed. Some people will just speak. There's different kinds of poetry, but I love the poetry where I could bounce words off of each other and it just flows together. And so then I went into poetry. And I remember when I was about 19, I was in college. Man, Too Short was like my idol. I didn't even know half the shit I was fucking saying, but I was rapping. So I think I was about 19. I was in college, and they had I don't even remember the raps from back then. They had this open mic at the college, and I remember I was so fucking nervous. I was so terrified. I did not have the ability to speak in front of others. I was so awkward. But I took one of my poems and I stood up and I went up there and I read it. For the first time ever, I had stood up and I had just read my poem, page in hand. I didn't have it recited, like embedded in my brain. And even though I knew the poem, I didn't want to forget it. So I had the paper and I'm shaking. And then, they clapped and cheered. And it was so beautiful to just sit up there and just read my poem in front of these strangers, Right. I had a lot of them published. I don't know if anybody remembers poetry.com. If you wrote poetry in like the 90s to early 2000s, you remember poetry.com. I have a couple books that I even bought from there that has my poems in there. um and then, like I said, then in like 2003, I was inspired to start writing. And then it was just like, why can't I write? Why can't I write my own book? You know, why not? She had a poem on there. Yeah. I say, try it. We always put ourselves down like, oh, I'm not that. There's no way I can do that. I'm not there. But try it. You never know what will come of it, what will transpire from it, and who you will inspire from it. You never know. So try it, you guys. I hope that you guys are loving this morning show. Anything, I know I was asking yesterday, anything you guys want to, any topics you guys want to talk about, just let me know. Drop me a comment whenever you watch this. If you watch it later, anything you guys want us to discuss and bring to the table, let's do it. I love real talk, and I love discussing and talking with others, because I feel like despite what we know, we always can learn so much from each other, and we always can grow so much from talking with others from different walks of life. Look at how many of us are on this platform. We have people from fucking Amsterdam, Ireland, all over, international. There's so much that we can gain from each other of just having these talks, right? Which I think is very beautiful. So I'm going to end this morning show, but the whole point this morning was to get you guys to think about your goals, how you're implementing it. Find happiness in yourself today. Don't wait until you conquer the world for happiness. It'll never happen. Okay? Find your happiness today. Love yourself today. Enjoy yourself today. Live, journey, experience, right? Right. Unworthiness is a big thing, Heather. Especially myself, that's been one of my biggest things I've had to work with and work towards, is getting away from the fact of feeling like I wasn't worthy. I wasn't worthy of love. I'm not worthy of this. I'm not worthy of money. I'm not worthy of being wealthy. Fuck that. No, I'm very worthy of wealthiness in my life now. It's working through the stuff that's made you feel like you're unworthy. Most of the time we feel unworthy because no one shows us our worth, and so we get into this bad kind of place of waiting for someone else to show us what we're worth. And then it's like, no, we got to show ourselves what our worth is. We can't wait for someone else to give us praise and show us, oh, you're the best thing that happened in life. No, you have to do it, right? So when we start to change that, that's where the real work comes in, for you to feel you are worthy, for you to feel that you are enough, that you deserve the very good things that are coming to you. That takes a lot of time. I've had to work through that. I noticed in my path alone, I've gone through a life with judgment. I mean, everything from my mother to siblings to people who didn't even know me. I've been judged from strangers. I've been judged from colleagues. And it's crazy because I was having this talk with my daughter the other day, where it's just like, it's unbelievable how much I've been judged in this life, with no bearing on the judgment, to make me feel less than, just because people were intimidated. I don't fucking know, whatever the hell they had going on. And it's crazy because I looked in my birth chart in Chiron, which is a placement, and I talked about this the other morning. There's a placement in light in your chart, if you look at your birth chart, which shows unhealed wounds, and it talks about the judgment, and it talks about being ridiculed for everyone around you in your life. And it would be very hard for me to overcome this in my life, but I have fought tooth and nail to get to the point where I am today, where someone else's judgment doesn't bring me down anymore. Does it still piss me off? Fuck yeah, I'm not there yet. I'm not 100%, but it doesn't break me anymore. It doesn't get me to that point where I start to question my own worth anymore, because I know what I deserve and I know who I am. So, it's just that working through it and understanding ourselves a little bit deeper. I say, everyone, go into your charts, get to know yourself a little bit deeper. You'll be amazed at some of the shit that's there. If you don't know how, you always can book through my website. I'll break it down to you, send it to you. You know, Morning Ryan, I will say, and we can touch divorce and relationships on another show. I'll just say very quickly that one of the things in relationships is we kind of look at relationships as a transaction. And this is probably going to hit you in a certain way, right? We get with someone, we put 17 years in, right? And now we expect something back. So if this person, even though you put what you call this time and energy into this person and you feel like you've been discarded, people change, right? And when people change, sometimes they grow apart. Instead of us being understanding and look at the situation for what it is, because a lot of times we're trying to hold on to something because we feel I've put this time in, where's my return? In relationships, it should never be a return on investment. A lot of people, we looking at relationships as investments. We're looking at it as something, I put this time, where do I get now back what I put in? But in a relationship, in a love, in a marriage or whatever, if you're looking at it, it should be purely love because you love this person, not because you're going to get anything back, and not because you're guaranteed to be with this person forever. I know that's hard to swallow. Hi, RJ Rice. I know it's hard to think about, but when we have a relationship that we're looking at as a possession, it'll feel like that. It'll feel like I wasted all my years. So sometimes you have to sit back and say, did I really waste my years? What did I gain from this? Some of you guys got beautiful children that you've gained from these relationships. Some of you guys got fucking beautiful knowledge that you've gained from these relationships. But when people grow and change, it's like, no, I'm going to force you to be with me even though you don't want to be with me anymore. That's selfish as fuck. You got to ask yourself why. Why am I going to force you to be with me? Now, I'm not saying don't try to save your marriages. And I'm not saying not try to work it out, because I think you should, right? But at the end of the day, when you've tried and tried and tried, and now it's time that you know it's time to say goodbye. Why are we so pissed off and mad at someone because they've changed and they don't want us no more? Why are we so mad because someone has outgrown our love? We can't be mad at that. It's very selfish. So come into the energy of understanding that we're not guaranteed anybody. No one is guaranteed to be in our life forever. And if we can start to change that perception of the transaction, I invested in you, you owe me now, we actually will be better off. We'll be happier. We will be able to let go easier. We'll be able to go off and just say, you know what? I wish you well. I don't wish you bad. Ain't trying to fuck up your life. There'd be less craziness when it comes to splitting up in relationships, right? But I think we get very possessive when it comes to love. Our idea of love is not creator's idea of love. And that's one of the biggest things. And we are going to talk about that on another segment because we're at an hour. I don't want to go to 2 hours today on it. So we will talk about it. I will bring it up, relationships on another live. But just think about that. Let me leave you with that and think about that. Love. People that we love are not possessions. We don't own them. They're not guaranteed to be in our lives forever. The journey of the here and now, love them while they're here, because then tomorrow they could be gone. They could grow. They could leave. Okay. Right. So I will definitely bring that up on another live. You guys enjoy your Tuesdays. I will see you later for some tarot. I know those of you who love tarot, we'll see you later for tarot. Love and light, light and love. I got to get my ass to the gym today, like for sure. Okay. Bye.